What's up, everybody? I woke up my cat, Sammy. Just a spontaneous live stream. There's oh so much stupidity abounding. Hi, Peyton. Thanks for joining me. Now they're on this top, but how are you this evening? What's up? Hey, Creator Mom, what's up? Gina's in the house. Gina's in the house. Gina's been pumping out the content. Check out Creator Mom's channel. She makes like daily content. What's up, everybody? Look, see, I started talking and then my little familiar comes. He's my familiar. We need to talk about Frankenstein's monster. There's some Frankensteins. Doop, 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 working around. Hi, I am the cow. What's up? Sammy's gonna eat that broccoli. He's gonna eat it. Yeah. He loves the broccoli. So good. It's so good. From the hood. He's gonna make it in some food. Broccoli soup in my bowl. Cheddar in my tummy. Good. Yeah. That's the cheddar broccoli song. Sammy style. You said precious. Thank you. Do you guys know society's collapsing? I sure feel it. I sure see it. It's like, actually, well, I'll get a better, we have to listen. Sorry. You can't see him. But he's here. I will get a better view on this when I visit my little sisters. But they're 14 and 12. But they're like super, super good kids, and they're raised by my parents, or my mom and my stepdad, who are my mom's a baby boomer, my stepdad's like the very beginning of Gen X. And so they have like the values I have. So like, you know, they're super compassionate. They work really hard in school. Like they're the best in school, you know. So it's not like the same as, but like, I don't know if like, I hope it's a small cross section of youngsters, but it's like people, they don't have the experience anymore. Like there's hi Timo. Now I have like cat fluff on my face. Like the young people, they don't have the experiences anymore, and they have all the social anxiety, and they just do everything online. So they don't have any anecdotal reference. So they can't make judgments. Like their judgments are so poor. Like the whole thing on consent, like it's gonna be pretty soon that, you know, the younger generation does not understand consent. Like they don't get it. And when you don't understand consent, well, then all kinds of like abuses can happen when you allow people to invade your boundaries based on certain rules and times of day or institutions and laws and ownership and and then we have like these stu- like stupid debates about patriarchy. Like they couldn't even they were none of these people are prepared. They don't even know what they're talking about. It's just like, and there's like 300 some odd people watching this debate, and like it's just so boring. Like I went to college. Like I've seen some good debates. Like you can just, it's just the dumbing down of society, and people just accept the content that's provided to them, and the content is like gone lower and lower and lower in intelligence. And it's like this, and I feel like online on YouTube there's this heavy with all of the um MGTOW masculine movement. There's this, like, I'm sorry to say, but um Islamic component, umbrella to it, of those people really supporting the whole thing too, because it supports the oppression of women. But it's like in real life, this doesn't exist. Like this is all online. It's all like these people that don't have experience, but then they'll go when they have to go to the doctor, they'll go see a woman doctor because there only are women doctors to see. Like it's this false sense of masculinity of being like a, what do they call it, a keyboard commando, incel. I'm so lazy and apathetic because I've been exposed to so much negative programming that I'm not even going to try to date. I'm not even going to try to woo a woman in real life. There's just no point. If I get rejected once, I give up. Like there's this extreme apathy and laziness, and just like, oh, it's not even worth it. I'm not even gonna try. And it's like, because you never had the experience, you never know that it is worth it. Like it is worth the try. Like if you can find older men, that have had like successful relationships, they'll tell you, hey, I'd rather be with a woman than be by myself. It was so sad. Yesterday we was a travel day, and we stopped at a Walmart to restock on food, and it was in kind of a rural Texas area, and we get there in the evening time, and it's not one of the Walmarts that's like super updated. There was no facial scanning walking in with the big screen TV. It was like, regular, down home Walmart. And right when we walked into the produce area, there was this old man by himself, and he had kind of like, almost kind of like maybe like a wide, like a kind of an Australian hat, or like kind of like a floppy, like a canvas hat, but it had a wider brim, and he had kind of baggy clothes, and he was an older man, and he was looking at the tomatoes, and there was, the avocados were 58 cents. So I was like, oh, so I started poking, because in California the avocados are like $1 each. But so I went to go start poking the avocados, and the old man comes up to me, and he's like, I already checked them all. There aren't any good ones. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I was like, oh, they've been picked clean, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, maybe they'll be good in a month from now. and and then he kind of pauses and turns around, and then he comes back and talks to me and is like, hi, Joseph Newhouse. He's like, there's a woman down the street, and he names the street, like if I knew, I knew the references, but I was like, I'm not from here, but he's like, yeah, on the corner, blah, 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 there's a woman, and she'll take these tomatoes, and she'll take the onions, and she'll take the avocado, and she'll make this really good, it turns out really good, and I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds really good, and then, Dimitri's like, kind of like, what's going on? And then, and I'm like, okay, we'll have a good day. And then, we kind of ran into him a couple more times, going through the aisles. And I got, go back to the car, and it's like, and we start driving again. And it's like, I told Dimitri, I used to deal with these people every day in my job. And, this was this old man's social life. Like, he probably is a widower, and these people, these old people, they get so lonely when their spouses die that, like, going to the Walmart was his social interaction. Like, so he was taking every opportunity to talk to everybody he came in the counter with, and, like, he saw Dimitri and I, like, young, couple shopping at Walmart, and he's like, oh, and he wanted to talk to us. And it's like, it actually made me cry, because it's like these people are so lonely, and it's just like everybody's just so lonely and just so starved for, like, interaction. And it's it's like, I just feel bad for, these people that are so scared to just, like, go out into the real world and talk to people. Because it's making everybody so nasty and bitter. But, yeah, I used to have patience, and it's like, when some of these people who had, like, their love of their life or whatever, and then they die, and then they just don't know how to live anymore, they just, like, their heart breaks, and maybe they don't have a good relationship with their kids, or maybe their kids live on the other side of the country or whatever. And it becomes where, like, their doctor's visits are their social visits. So they'll get dressed up, they'll, like, try to have an extended conversation with you. They want to talk about other things other than their health stuff, because that's their social interaction. And they just are like, it's like people are starving to talk to somebody that's just, like, really, like, oh, just somebody engaging, not somebody that's, like, nasty, like, oh, like, why are you looking at me? Or, like, oh, can I help you? Like, so I hope you guys, if somebody comes up to you and talks to you in public, you talk to them, like, freaking do somebody a favor and just, like, have a little conversation, especially if they're, like, an old person, because a lot of old people are all by themselves and they have nobody. And now it's like a lot of everybody has nobody. But I just called Steven. Sorry guys, I'm not reading a comment. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh my god, sometimes when my phone's plugged in, it like Zoom now. Is it Zoom? Wait, what if I do this one? So this is my countertop. Okay. No. I think that's Alright, I just called out Stephen David. If you guys don't know who that is. He has a pretty small channel, but he's always on the, like, Toilet Bowl Earth, Talk Body Outline crowd. Hi, Robin. Anyway, Stephen David had, so Grace Thorpe had edited and posted my, you know, chopped up testimony. She, like, kept on interrupting me while I was explaining, and, so I, like, told it out of chronological order, so they're like, oh, you're long, you know, they're like, oh, wait, what, you said this, and now your story changed, blah, blah. And then she sent it to another channel, and he picked it apart, and he was like, at first he was watching the version about my wisdom teeth, and then Grace was in the chat and convinced him to watch the edited version. And he was, like, agreeing with me about he's like, oh, yeah, I had surgery, and I woke up fighting, and yeah, this sounds real, blah, blah. And then Grace convinced him to watch, like, the edited version. And he's like, oh, yeah, this girl's liar. Like, he couldn't understand, like, the order of events. But it's not like I need validation from these people. But it's just appalling. Like, I've never seen, like, such, like, bad behavior. Because it's not like, I mean, I don't think I come across as a liar. I mean, I think I come off as pretty credible. And, you know, she recommended my original video, so I don't know if she watched it or not, but after she watched my original video, I'm sure she kind of figured out that I was telling the truth. But yeah, in the first video, there was a bunch of comments from people that are, you know, part of my, you know, who watch my channel, and I had a lot of supportive comments, and that's, like, from Sherelle, and, like, Robin, I think Quantum Epic, and, Lisa Rose 18, and then, but she took that original edited part down, and re-edited it, and put it up again, after it had, like, 500 views on it, or something. But, so those people are obviously not going to go on the other edited video and write comments again that are supportive of me. So all the comments on there are just like, oh, she's crazy, oh, she's, you know, look at her, you know, nobody would want to do her, kind of stuff like that. But I think on the original video, Stephen David commented, oh, I love to watch the enemy of my enemy get into it. And then he's like, schizo fantasy or something like that. And so I confronted him on it on Provo Kids stream just actually 15 minutes ago. I'm like, hey, Stephen David, like, enemy of my enemy, you know? Like, so I'm your enemy? And he's like, oh, you always think everything's about you, Aphrodite. Me saying Ben Thorpe and New Agers are enemies. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Stephen? You wrote that comment on Grace's video about me, of me talking to her. And you said that Grace is the enemy of your enemy. So you called me your enemy. And like, you're a coward. You can't even own up to what you comment on your stupid keyboard commando. And I told Stephen David, I'm like, you're from San Diego. You're from Encinitas. You know the culture. I think you're probably military. Okay, you know the military there. You know. It's like, the way, it's like, if I knew, you know, it was all a shit show, because if I had planned to come on there, I didn't really plan to come on there and tell my story, but, like, you know, if I knew it was going to turn out like that, I obviously would have, like, been a lot more prepared and would have, like, told it, you know, without her, like, throwing me off. But yeah, like I could have said, you know, not only is it like 6 colleges in San Diego, there's the Marines, there's Camp Pendleton, there's the Coast Guard, there's the Air Force Base, there's the Army base, there's the Marine base, the Naval base, um, there's yeah, it's like every part of the military, there's a base in San Diego. So there's like all of these. That's why I think it's like super MK Ultra, because they use it as a genetic experiment of the young 18 to like 22-year-olds, because you got all the military men and all of the college kids that are like good looking Southern California, or they're really smart and got into the California schools. So, or they got, money. And then you also have the Point Loma of Nazarene and college, which is the cemetery school. Anyways, I'm like to Stephen David, you could have defended me. You know the culture, you know the drinking culture in San Diego, you know the military culture, you know how it's like. You know I'm not lying. He probably could hear my story and knows women that happened to, or probably knows guys that did that to women. But no, he likes to comment and say that Grace is the enemy of his enemy. And that it's like fun to watch that. But then he couldn't even defend himself. He said, oh, he pretended he wrote it on a different video. I'm like, no, you didn't. It's freaking coward. He's coward. These little MGTOW cowards. And it's like, I'm not even a feminist. And then you have like Toilet Bowl Earth and Jim Bob. It's like trying to diminish my medical career. And then Toilet Bowl Earth was trying to say I was saying I'm a doctor. I'm like, I've never said I'm a doctor. I've never said I'm a doctor. That's actually been, that was like, that's been an issue about physician assistants. And I got this whole thing on my first job where they told me I couldn't wear a white coat anymore because there was a problem with physician assistants being misinterpreted as doctors. They tried to take my ability to wear a white coat away, and they wanted me to wear like a green coat, like some volunteer candy striper or something. So like it's like always it's kind of like this running validation up to myself on why I'm Christ is like I'm always having to prove myself. Like I'm always like for some reason needing to like seek validation. Like I even chose a career that has a misnomer, physician assistant. And it's even a thing within the career. Like there's always this petition to change the name of physician assistant to physician associate. Or, just like mid-level clinician. Because you think physician assistant, you think medical assistant. Like the girl that takes you back and just does your blood pressure and weighs you and measures your height and all that. And says, okay, the doctor will be in. That's what people think when you hear a physician assistant. So when I say what I do, I have to always wrap it up around like I'm a physician assistant. I'm like a doctor. I can do everything a doctor can do. I have a license to practice medicine. I have a DEA license. I can do surgery. I actually am a trained surgeon. I can do surgery on my own. I have to preface all of that, but people want to like pick things out and say, oh, you said you're a doctor. Oh, you're a liar. Oh, you exaggerate. Oh, you're always exaggerating on things. Oh, you're always embellishing. It's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Like, if you're offended, I have a life and like I've been through things, then that's your problem. But yeah, I am a dope-ass surgeon, and the surgeon that trained me, who basically invented vascular surgery, said I'm the best surgeon he's ever trained in his whole career. And he trained like 4 decades of surgical residents at UC San Francisco and Stanford. He's like the super surgeon professor at Stanford, and he wrote like a 10-page letter about me saying I'm the best surgeon he's ever trained. But like that doesn't matter. Like nobody cares. Like I you know, like who are you guys that are what like yeah. Okay, gold star for me, whatever. Like yeah. But as long as I'm labeled crazy and schizo and oh, I got spots on my face, oh, she's a meth head, la la la. It's just like, invalidate, and then there's like, now this like new thing that I'm like a feminist. It's like, I'm no feminist. I want men and women to be equal. Like, I'm all about men and women working together. Like, this whole fucking programming of men against women and MGTOW, feminists, that is the fucking programming. That's what's keeping us back. That's what's keeping us alone and unhappy, is because people want to, like, men and women want to fight each other. It's like, we don't have to fight each other. It can be fun. It can be happy. But it's not going to happen like doing little like, there's all these just fucking cowards. Like, even just like the bravery of meeting somebody in person. Like, part of like making a healthy child, like reproduction, like you're even like spiritually, like creating like a relationship is like a spiritual baby with somebody. Like, you have to nurture it, you have to feed it, you have to like take care of it, you have to clean it, you have to poop it, like but part of that is like the actual effort of going out there and taking the risk of being rejected, or taking the risk of not meeting anybody when you go out to the meetup or wherever. Like, you can sign up for some kind of like sports, like adult sports team. You can take like a cool class. You can do a pottery class. You can take an archery class. You can there's like adult free classes at the adult education stuff. Like, you can go to the YMCA. You talk to people at Target. You can talk to people at Walmart. You can go to the grocery store. You could go to the grocery store on the other side of town where the college girls hang out. Like, there's so many ways that you can accidentally start talking to somebody. But it's like, it's just a bunch of fucking cowards. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. What are you guys saying? Hi, everybody. Okay, I might glitch out. Hi, Paul Revere. Hi, Love, Learn, and Grow. Hi, Joseph. Hi, Robin. Robin says some of these men online exhibit the controversial stances to stir the pot and have reactionary females pay them attention arguments. Otherwise, maybe there would be no interactions, thus no content. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I think, like, there has to be, like, because it's, people are starting to get the view, like, this is how it is. Like, the shock jock, let's produce content, like, that's how people really are. And it's like, no, people don't talk like that to your face. Like, like, can you imagine if Grace and I were in the same room? Like, do you think she would talk to me like that? Do you think she would call me out on my bullshit if Grace and I were standing in the same room with her little pathetic hole in her heart? So I'm like, there has to be like, we have to take responsibility for, like, I'm always real. Like, I'm not putting on a show. I'm not like a character for you guys. Like, I'm not putting it on. Like the sexuality that I express is the sexuality I express in person. Like, I'm not putting on makeup for you guys. Like, I'm not, I don't have like filters, you know, I don't try to like really change how I am to fit some kind of image, you know, like this is me. This is my van life bathroom. I'm sitting on my van life toilet. Like, I have no makeup on, you know, like, so she's laughing at me. But like a lot of these people, like, you watch them enough, or you watch enough of these people, and it's like you kind of get a view that everybody's just a bunch of assholes, and have these like extremist views. And I guess like everybody hates women now, and everybody thinks women are just whiny, manipulative, liars, and men are just victimized, emasculated, culturally oppressed, and deserving to be given a whip and chains to get revenge. Like, that's what it feels like, the like fog of feeling is, you know? And it's like any woman that sticks up for herself or sticks up for like man and woman union is called a feminist. It's like, no, I just have an opinion. I'm not like for, you know, women beating down men. I'm not for women all being in the government and men taking orders. Like, Robin says she was referring to Big Mouth. Paul Revere says, I walk around my neighborhood and say hello to everyone I walk by. To most people are starving for attention. Big drink tea. No. Robin says, I love talking to seniors at grocery store. If I think they need help, I offer. Oh, that's nice. Old people love talking to young people. Like, that, like, just makes their day. Paul Rivera says, seniors are a wealth of knowledge. Yes. Robin says, I especially like chatting with lonely retirees at the hot springs. I'm lonely too. Oh, what hot springs do you go to, Robin? I'm sure you told me before, but tell me again. Paul Rivera, I'm turning 49 this year in August. I don't know how that happened, but wow, it's wild. My spirit is still a rebel, but my body's slowing down. Yeah. Well, happy birthday in August. Hi, Me of Justice. Says, I look forward to Grace hitting the wall like her mother and then losing interest in Grace like he did Courtney. Yeah, I don't even know what's going on with that whole situation. It's stupid because I think Ben writes most of Grace's content. Like, her little opening statement on the debate, it seemed like it was written for her, and they included like a stupid little definition of the Webster's Dictionary. She didn't even know what she was reading. You know, it's like if you have a debate, you usually give talking points prepared. Hi, Jessica Jane. Paul Rivera says, hi, good. Robin says, Paul, yes, in my mind, I can do it all, but then I hit a wall, no energy. Hi, Lisa Rose. What's up? Jake says, you're better than a doctor. Thanks, Jake. Kimmel says, it's okay, shit happens. Yeah. Me of Justice says, what type of doctor did you work under after I was started? Well, I've done multiple positions, and that's the beauty of a physician assistant, and kind of why my position can do more than a doctor is that unlike a doctor that's stuck within a specialty like pediatrics, geriatrics, dermatology, surgery, whatever, like a doctor is kind of stuck in one practice, one type of medicine, whereas a physician assistant, we're trained in all medicine, so we can have jobs in every type. So I could have a job in geriatrics and women's health, or I could switch around. So I worked for almost 5 years in vascular surgery. That was my first job out of medical school. So my boss was a vascular surgeon, and he, like basically trained 5 decades of surgeons at Stanford, and invented a lot of surgeries. But yeah, that's where I like amputated legs on my own. I put in perm casts, which are tunneled indwelling catheters for dialysis. We did a lot of arteriovenous fistula formations for dialysis access. We did amputations, but we also did lots of like really different surgeries for dialysis access, like putting grafts in people's legs. We did a lot of like fempops, femfems, like rerouting the like femoral bypass procedures, where we reroute the blood flow from like the iliac artery down into the popliteal artery to bypass blockages in the pelvis. I also worked in the heart room with the heart surgeons. I've like held a heart in my hand. Like I've scrubbed into the heart surgeries, because we would sometimes be called in to harvest the vein for a CABG, which is a coronary artery bypass graft. So it's like usually like a CABG times 4, so you need like four pieces of vein to bypass 4 arteries in the heart to like reroute the blood flow in the heart. So they use the vein, the saphenous vein in the leg. So usually the heart surgeon has his own physician assistant, whom I helped hire. She also went to school with me. I got her job in a day, and then she backstabbed me. But anyways, so they would try to do the vein, and then when the assistant couldn't get it, they'd call in the vascular surgeons, and we'd come in and try to get the vein out of the leg so that they could proceed with the heart bypass surgery. And then sometimes we would stay behind and assist on the heart, on the chest. And yeah, like it's weird. So healthy people have different anatomies than sick people. But at least in the heart room, there's like a black hole behind the heart. Like when the heart's outside of the cavity and it's just the chest, like there's this like, it's like a black, it's like this spot. So the cavity's always filling up with blood, right? Because you can't clamp like the arteries that are feeding the cavity. So there's somebody always suctioning, and then they have the person on the bypass machine that's working as a heart, pumping the blood, while they have the heart out of the chest. So like, but there's like this spot in the back of the chest wall behind the heart, and it's like this spot you can't focus on. It's like you look and it's like this blurry, and it's you're always suctioning the blood because it's always pooling there. But even still, when the blood's like dry, it's like this black, it's almost like, I guess, a black hole. I don't know, but it's like this fuzzy, like you can't quite focus on it. But that's what I saw. I didn't interpret it like that. This was before my spiritual awakening, but it's like you look and it's like you like have to keep blinking because it's really hard to look at it. Like the way it's like this, it sucks the light in. It's like this dark, it's like a black hole behind the heart. I don't know how to explain it. So, and then I did emergency general surgery and worked with trauma surgeons. And then I did hair transplants in San Francisco, working for Bosley. and I became the follicular unit extraction specialist, which was like the minimally invasive hair transplant procedure. And I was the first physician assistant they hired to do this procedure. So they sent me around to train. So I got sent to Beverly Hills and worked in the Wilshire Boulevard office for a while, and down in San Diego for a while, learning how to do hair transplants. And then I worked doing oncology, hematology, which is cancer, blood diseases, doing chemotherapy in Pacific Heights, which is the really ritzy area of San Francisco, where like, what was that famous author, like Sharon Stone, like it's like this really fancy area of San Francisco. And then I worked doing pain management and spinal surgery, or like minimally invasive spinal procedures like epidurals and nerve blocks. But I mostly dealt with the pain management side, which was all like workers' comp patients in San Leandro, and that job sucked. And that was the job that I quit right before my spiritual awakening. I just laid on my couch, and I couldn't go to work. I couldn't go, and I called, and I'm like, I can't come. And I'm like, I quit. And she's like, this is the most unprofessional thing ever. And I'm like, I can't. That job was horrendous. That job, the doctor was so unethical. It was him and his sister he was the doctor, and his sister was the office manager, and they were from Iran. Yeah, they were from Iran. And one day I come to work, and I'm like, where's the doctor? And she's like, oh, he left to Iran. I'm like, what? Like, he just did spinal procedures on patients yesterday. Like, he has to sign off. Like, he has to sign off to another. Like, you're supposed to sign off privileges so I have another doctor to report to. Like, I can't call him in Iran with questions. Like, part of my practice is that I always have to have a doctor on phone call. I can practice independently, but I have to have a doctor on reference if I ever have, like, issues, or if I have questions. There has to be a doctor that I can call, at least. They don't have to be on site. But he didn't even do a sign-off to another doctor. He just left the country, and like, okay, that just shows how much he respects me, as is like, because being a physician assistant, it's not like really the doctor's my boss, it's more like we're a team. So my last job, which was another oncology, hematology position, this time in rural California, I have my patients, like I did most of the breast cancer patients, and like the patients that were doing good. I did a lot of the multiple myeloma patients, like monitoring them. The patients that were doing good, I had some patients that were doing bad. But then like, so I had my set patients, and then that frees the doctor up to see the really complicated patients, the patients that need changes in their chemotherapy, the brand new patients that, are just, starting their treatment. So it splits up the care so that the doctor doesn't have to see, the breast cancer patient who's 5 years out of treatment and doing great. Like, I get to see that patient. I get to tell her she's doing a great job and all that. And then he gets to focus on the more complicated. Like, that's how usually it works. And then, like, in vascular surgery, I assisted on the surgeries. So the surgeon would be on one side of the operating table, and I'd be on the other side. And I was co-surgeon. It wasn't like I was assistant. Like, in the first 2 years, yes. But then, like, third and fourth year, I was co-surgeon. So like on the we did carotid endarterectomies, where we made an incision like this. Now, like a bad surgeon, they'll make an incision like that. But we made incisions like this. It's hard. It's a more eloquent surgery. It takes more skill, but it leaves a amazing cosmesis. It's the same scar that Elon Musk has now. Elon Musk has the Neuralink scar. But I used to make like beautiful carotid endarterectomy scars. But anyways, you make scar and then you cut down to the carotid artery and you expose it, and then you cut it like this, and then you roll back the lining of the artery and take the plaque out. The plaque sticks out like an iceberg, and you take the plaque out, and as far as you can go, you take the gunk out, and then you. So like I'd be standing on this side of the patient, and he'd be standing on this side of the patient, and I would sew the artery on this side, and he'd sew the artery on this side, and then we would tie the knots together. He'd always say like it's like a dance. And it actually, like, I developed telepathy with this man, like, and I think he's a Jesuit and super high up, and, you know, we won't go into that, but, like, when you're in the operating room is, like, a whole other level, like, when people have alien abduction encounters, it's in an operating room, like, the Egyptian, embalmists wore long white coats and high heels, I think, from Louis Vuitton, so that, you know, they went, like, go through the muck of the embalming guts and stuff. But it's like a ritual. There's something called a time out. There's a certain order of things. There's a certain way you hand things. There's a certain way you speak. There's a certain way you stand. Like, you have to be sterile. You can't touch, like, you go into a whole different mode. You don't get hungry, you don't get thirsty. But I got into, you know, when you learn that okay, I can deal with the blood, I'm not going to pass out, I can deal with the hot lights on the back of your head, you can deal, like, you're in the mask, you have the goggles, you have the bonnet, you have your surgical gown, you have the gloves. You can't be sweaty. You know, like, some people, they can't, like, a lot of people, they can't cut it. Like, they pass out, they just aren't physically fit enough, they can't handle the gore, they can't handle, like, the focused, like, intention. Like, you have to have a steady hand, you can't be, distracted. But anyways, when you start anticipating your surgeon's needs so much, like, I know where he's going to go, I know what he's going to need next. I know what he's going to do next. I know where his hands are going to be. And our heads, we're like, you know, like, my head's here, the patient's laying here, and he's on the other side with his head here. So we're actually developing this, like, telepathy connection where I knew where his hands were going as his hands were going there. And I think it is a type of magic. But then in the hospital setting, we did a lot of good cop, bad cop with the patients, where we would go in, so we would, like, make our rounds in the morning of people in the hospital who are waiting for surgery or who might need surgery, and say, like, there's a guy with a big infected diabetic toe, you know, and he was really good because you have to do a good amputation, you have to, is there no sound? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is anybody there? Okay, good. The thing about a good amputation is that you have to have the patient mourn the limb before you cut it off. So you never want to cut off anything right away. So, like, if somebody comes in and, like, their limb is dangling, something like that, you want to try to not cut it off if you can, and, like, stabilize it, and then put the person on antibiotics and put them in a hospital bed, and then you talk about it with them, and then you go in the next morning and you're like, well, we might have to have an operation in a couple days, we have the antibiotics running, it's infected. We're going to hope, we don't need to operate, but that might be an option. We're going to come in every day and assess the situation. And every day you come in and you talk about it, and that gets the patient's mind in the mindset, like if they're already losing it, it's going to get cut off. Like they can actually psychologically grieve for the limb that's already hanging off probably, or it's already dead. But they can psychologically disconnect, and their nerves actually help and disconnect for you before your actual surgery. You start that pain, you get that pain pathway diminished in the beginning because they've already amputated it psychologically. And then hopefully you give them like a 4 or 5 day of like IV antibiotics, and then, okay, today, we tried IV antibiotics, it's not working, it looks like it's dead, and we're going to have to schedule Friday morning. It's going to be like half-hour surgery, and then, you have another week of antibiotics, and you're good to go. And so they've ordered, okay, we tried, but now, okay, we'll have to cut it, okay. And then, you cut it off, and they're fine. It's the people that come into the emergency room, the vascular surgeon sees them, puts them in the OR, immediately cuts off whatever, patient wakes up, and their limb's gone, and they're like, that's when they have ghost limb syndrome. It's where they feel the limb is still there, but it's not there anymore because their brain didn't have that psychological grieving time to actually psychologically disconnect the nerve connection. So you still believe that the limb is there, and you feel it, and it hurts. People with ghost limb syndrome. Hi, Genevieve. What's up, girl? Hi, Sherelle. Lisa says you don't need to prove yourself to random losers on YouTube. Thanks. Hi, Sherelle. Phew! Star Salazar says this Grace lady gives off bitch vibes. Yeah. Talk about it. Robin says my whole family goes to physician assistants when there's option to because they have bedside manner. Yeah. And that's the thing about physician assistants is that we're actually trained in interpersonal communication as part of our curriculum, whereas most medical doctor curriculums don't have that. They actually don't learn how to talk to people. And that's kind of the biggest part of medicine is getting people to talk about what's going on with them. Knee of Justice says my primary care is a PA, and she is the best primary I have yet met. Oh, that's nice. Thanks. Robin says I prefer PAs over full-blown physicians. Oh, thanks, guys. And a lot of PAs, they made the decision not to become a doctor because of, personal reasons. So they already have, the empathy built in. They've already made, personal sacrifices. They didn't do, I have to be a doctor because, my family says that's, the epitome of success, and so I have to fit this mold. A lot of doctors are in that for that reason. It's because it's, a title. It's, it's some kind of success in their minds of reaching, there's also the God complex. But it's if you're a physician assistant, you've kind of already accepted the subordinate position. You're never going to be the doctor. You're always going to have to explain yourself. It's I kind of going back, it's kind of this Christ position. You never get the frickin', it's the whipping boy. You don't get paid as much as a doctor, but you can do everything a doctor can do. But so I'm saying the people that made the decisions to be PAs usually have a lot of empathy already and real life experience. Also, a lot of PAs, originally the profession started out of the military, out of Vietnam. There was a lot of Vietnam vets with all this medical experience, and then they came home from the war, and they had to start from scratch and go to EMT school or do paramedics, and it's they were already doing amputations and doing surgeries and doing extreme IVs and doing doctor stuff, but they didn't have the degree, so there was this big void of they had the experience, but they didn't have the education. So where to put them? It wasn't fair you see these guys who had all this experience, like, to use in, real life land, not in war, but not to make them have to start over from scratch in school. So that's where the physician assistant program started at Duke University in North Carolina. Was the first program in, I think it was 1969 or 1970. It was like 1970. I don't know. It was after Vietnam, or maybe during. And then that was so originally it was for kind of military people or people with all of this medical experience to start using it in practice without having to go to school and becoming a traditional doctor. And then the position grew. So now we're basically the same as nurse practitioner, but most of the time I would say nurse practitioners tend to stick in like women's health, general practice, like your primary care physician, or pediatrics or geriatrics. Whereas physician assistants you can see usually in surgery, like all specialties. You do see nurse practitioners in other you do see sometimes nurse practitioners in surgery and like dermatology, but it's the same. So the nurse practitioner, physician assistant, both are called mid-level clinicians or mid-level practitioners. But we're kind of like the cool new thing because we do everything a doctor can do, but hey, the insurance doesn't have to pay as much as the doctor, so we're like more of a workhorse. You can get more bang for your buck out of a mid-level than you can out of a doctor. So yeah, there's that. But I picked this career too because I could start working a lot sooner and making money than if I became a doctor. But it is annoying, the constant, like, it's not as hard on the East Coast of the United States. Physician assistants are more known. On the West Coast, especially California, it's been a continuing uphill battle because the nursing union is like super strong in California. So that means that nurse practitioners have always been favored over physician assistants in California. So yeah, but everything's changing. But ever since COVID, I get calls from recruiters every day. I think there's a huge lack of providers right now. I think a lot of people were pushed out and not coming back. And I don't think conditions are really getting better for people to want to come back. Like, the cost of living is so much higher and the salaries aren't rising to meet it. So it's like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? But thanks everybody for your support. Eve Justice says, they were just clowning, you don't have to cry over it. Star Salazar says, hi. Gamma Rose says, cheers, hi. Gamma Rose says, real human being. Lisa Rose says, I never saw Grace before you mentioned her, but she seems like a punk, shit-talking chain smoker. She really is. She should do OnlyFans, because she literally will bark on camera for people that give her super chats and say the N-word on command. Like, just do OnlyFans, like. Yamarama says, although I may be a bot, that's okay. If you're a nice bot, you're welcome here. Tiny Chud says, van life is silly, get an apartment. Is your apartment this nice, Tiny Chud? Is it this nice? Phil says, I blame StreamYard for all the trash talking YouTube content. It's like discard in a way. It really is, Cheryl. You're right. I'm new to the StreamYard stuff. Robin says, authentically Aphrodite. Neve Justice says, Aphrodite or Starfire got super emotional instead of rationally pointing out the threat that is a caregiver making sexual comments when you are coming out of anesthesia, then you rage quit. I never rage quit. I thought I explained well, I mean, I thought I explained the story of me waking up out of anesthesia very well, but the thing is she was referencing my story because I had already told it, so I was kind of retelling it to her because she had already heard it, so I wasn't retelling it for like oh, this is my, testimony, so all of the details need to be like, I didn't realize that she was going to like pick apart my story like that. But I never rage quit. She hung up on me. And I did rationally point out that the authority figure was making sexual comments. So, I don't know. But it's like, if people can't see that, if they want to like call me a liar because they think that I chronologically out of order said the details, I can't convince stupid. I don't need everybody to, whoever bought, incel, whatever, not believing me is not going to, change the way I think about myself or change the fact that it happened to me. Like, it happened to me. And I don't know if people understand the way like traumatic memories are stored, but usually you're not like thinking about your traumatic memory all the time. So when you're kind of spontaneously asked to reference it, you have to go back in your mind through the files, right? You pick it out of the filing cabinet, the big event, and the first things that pop out are the like most crazy things that happened. Those are the first things that you remember, like the most obscene things, the things that were like, and then as you start talking about it, you start remembering the other supporting details around it, like, oh yeah, but first there was that, oh yeah, and then after that happened. It starts to unfold because it's not a thing that you're thinking about all the time, this accessible trauma. At least for me, I don't like, she tried to sell it like this is my defining, reason for approaching society and stuff. Is this my story? Like, is this, I just made up the story. It's like, if I was lying, why wouldn't I make a story up that was like way better, where I wasn't drunk and, he beat me up and, like, why would I could have a name, oh yeah, and this is where he lived, and what would be the point? And it's like, I would think more people would have, there were a lot of people supporting me in her comments, like, but there was like a lot of, I don't know if they're bots, I don't know if they're agents kind of just pushing the narrative, or they're just like young guys, or maybe old guys. I don't think any of them were women. But like going, yeah, she's a liar, oh yeah, feeding her drinks, yeah, right, all she proves is she uses men for alcohol, like, it's like, well, did you miss the whole rape part? Like, did you miss the whole part where I was raped? Like, it's like, do these people know that, like, prostitutes get raped? Like, it's just the, like, thinking about who it happened to, how it happens. It's kind of just trying to find anything in my story to pick a hole out to invalidate me. Or you just call me crazy. Or just call me a meth head. Like, okay, crazy. Okay, meth head. Okay. She got sores on her face. Oh, yeah. Oh, who, and it's like, who would ever want to, give a girl pleasure after they hard her? Like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, me waking up to that was him trying to doing me a favor and giving me pleasure. Yeah. Yeah. It's like people that have never even done that are talking about it. Like, they don't even know about oral relations with a woman. Like, they have no idea. Like, Sunny says no one hates women more than women. Cheryl says, Robin, the truther community is now John the community. Kind of sad. Robin says, Cheryl, it is sad. I'm backing away slowly. Cheryl says, yep. Cheryl says, too many pogos. Yeah. Timo says, I will hide my veins from people in my heart. Robin says, Cheryl, I unsubbed to about 20 channels. It's a web. It's a shame. I left behind people I didn't want to, but it's a needed cleanse. Cheryl says, I'm inspired to do the same, Robin. Tiny Chud says, delusional fantasies are a side effect. Okay. Oops. Oh no. Oh no. I got super green. Oh, it's glitching. It's glitching. Oh. Is it glitching on your guys' end? No. Zoomed in. Oh, the gremlins. Sorry, guys. Grandma. Zoomed in my phone. Sorry, Robin. Can't undo it. I didn't mean to time you out, Robin. Oh no, I deleted Robin's message. Sorry. Oh no! I deleted all of Robin's messages! I'm sorry! Oh, how do I undo that? I don't know if I can undo it. Sorry, Robin. Sorrel says, okay, so guys, pain management, can you help my friend Top Feet, Coco? Timo says, you have to unsub from people. Why did you submit the first place? That doesn't make any sense. Cheryl says, Robin, yes, it can be time consuming, also being enabling being invested. I love. Charles says, Tim, I would never unsubscribe to Aphrodite Conference. Oh, I wish I could read Robin's comments. Oh, she said the OR is so cold. Oh, I can read it if I click on it. Okay. Robin said, Sherelle, I don't think they are bad people, but the web grows and time investment to keep up with everything was affecting my real life because I suck at time management. Alright, so I can read Robin's messages. Genevieve says the dance, it's the same in the kitchen environment. Yes. I remember you talking about that, about being called to see you next Tuesday in the kitchen. At the restaurant you managed. Hi, jokers. In the sun. Okay, Robin said, I hear you. Cheryl said, I can hear you. Okay, Genevieve, I can hear you. Okay. Robin said, okay, hearts. Hi, Robin. There he says, my dad is a burn survivor. They were sure he would lose his arm, but the skin grafts healed miraculously. Oh, wow. I bet you had a good part of that. If people have good families caring for them, they usually do really good. Tim Mo says, loud and clear. Hi, Tim. Hi, Jenny. Charles says, good to know. Thanks, Genevieve. Genevieve says, 2222, a skunk just walked past. All calm, loved your voice. Aw. Skunky brought the tuxedo. Tim Mo says, kitty, kitty, skunk, skunk. Genevieve says, wee. Tiny Chud says, my apartment is 100 times nicer, and it doesn't get pulled over by cops. Well, that's a really good perk. Timo says, the nurses have more power in California than most doctors. Yeah, that's true. The nurses union is extremely strong in California. Like, all the traveling nurses come to California to make the money. Genevieve says, Lisa Rose 18 says, I think that if you want to think about that traumatic memory, Grace isn't the person to talk to. I'd seek a professional that would not villainize you. Well, I already had made the video about it. At least she, on my own testimony, talking about it in my normal pace and normal chronological order. At least she linked it in her description, so if people cared to actually, listen to my story without her screaming at me. So yeah, hi cat. Ooh. Wow! Is Robin out of her timeout yet? Cat says, I always get notified like an hour after live stream starts. That's crappy. Timbo says, just call me crazy, I'll get over it. Okay. Cat says, what is happening? Are you guys still there? Downfall of society. Apparently society's gonna collapse this summer. You guys prepared? At least I'm off grid. Yeah. Okay. Well, guess I'm in the bed. Sorry I timed you out, Robin. I don't know if I'm still live. Oh, sorry, Robin. I think it was me. My phone does this like zoom, and then it won't like come off of the zoom, and then I just end up like clicking things, click. Yeah. So the news keeps following me around. It was an accident. Sorry, Robin. I didn't mean to. I don't know if all your comments are permanently deleted or. Ah! Alright, guys. I'm gonna try to end it here after I zoom out. Whatever. Yeah, I think doing it, yeah. I think doing an open panel show on baby control pills would be really interesting. I just want to be prepared for it, Yeah. Alright. Bye, night. Thanks for the